So greyhounds. And I do have a greyhound in my book. So I was like, oh, that book's got nature and greyhounds. Let me investigate this a little bit more. And as I said, it's called the Hounding. Hence the dogs on the cover, I guess. One thing that did make me sad about the cover is look at this little guy over here. Do you see him? Look at his little snout. It's been cut off. And I mean the cover, it wraps around and like the rest of his little snout is there. But unfortunately it just got cut off on the fold. It might just be my copy, I'm not sure. It has really cool lettering. It has this kind of like a fault line running through the centre. Do you see that? So the Hounding, I will read you what it says on the back cover here. So this is the advanced praise that the author got for the Hounding. The Hounding is a debut novel bound to be a cult classic. It's a tale set centuries ago that throbs with a bloody, living heart. It's a jewel dug from the depths of Xenobe Purvis's imagination. It's exquisite. That's from Julia Phillips. She's the author of, it says Bear. I guess that's a book, it doesn't say. And then the next one says Haunting. This chilling story can be read as a parable of female empowerment or as a tale of feverish bedevilment overtaking an entire town. Xenobe Purvis has written a book so masterful you'll not be able to look away. And that was by Laurie Lico Albanese, author of Hester. And then the next one says lush and atmospheric. Every word in this spare, sharp novel cuts and implicates the small-minded townsfolk who chase rumours like the wild dogs chase prey. A virtuistic debut and a brilliantly keen mind and eye. Certainly, Xenobe Purvis shares a bloodline with Shirley Jackson, and that's from Diane Cook, the author of The New Wilderness. And then finally, the last piece of praise on the back here is from Claire Beams, author of The Garden, and it says a gorgeous, lush landscape of a book and a haunting tale of the strangeness of girlhood. Our view of the Manfield sisters flickers like the sunlight through the trees, always partially obscured, always brilliant. The novel is tender, witty, and terrifying, and I loved it. So, in The Hounding, we follow five different POV characters, which is quite a lot to try and juggle. And none of them are actually boys in the village. We have his POV. We also have Temperance. She works in the pub, in the alehouse. Then we have Pete Darling, who is kind of like the antagonist of everything. And then finally we have Thomas Mildmay. He is a farmhand that comes to work for Joseph Mansfield and the granddaughters. So the book is about the five girls. We don't directly get to see things through their eyes. So we follow these other characters, and they all have kind of different impressions of the girls, different thoughts, different feelings towards them. Pete Darling, he's the ferryman, so they have a river that kind of cuts off the bigger part of the town. There's Little Nettlebed and Big Nettlebed, I think. So there's like two sort of parts of the town. And there's a river that flows and cuts off one from the other. So Pete is the ferryman. He helps me. There's a little, like, he's a little boat and he helps people go back and forth across the river when the river's full. And he has the air of like, he's kind of, it seems like he's a bit repressed and a bit of a woman hater, and he kind of feels snuffed by the sisters for honestly like no reason at all. He kind of thinks that everyone in the village is like snubbing him for some reason or another, and he likes to drink a little bit too much. He's a little bit paranoid. Part of me thinks he maybe was like schizophrenic or something. Like, I think maybe he was seeing things. I think he thought that an angel was coming to see him and things. Delusions. But he kind of starts a horrible rumour about the girls, the five Manfield sisters, and says that he saw them turning into dogs. And this book is set in the past, and it's, you know, of a time where science is just starting to come into fruition. The church is still kind of denying a lot of sciencey things, and there's a lot of suspicion and fear of anything that's different. So as this rumour kind of gets spread, the Manfield sisters become like prime target for the villagers' hatred and fear, and they kind of become targets. Temperance, the lady who works at the pub, well, her and her husband own it. She has a bit more of a solid head on her shoulders, and she is trying to dispel the rumours. She's worried about the girls. She doesn't want them to end up hurt. But again, she's just one woman, and protective of the Mansfield sisters because they have always been nice to him, whereas a lot of the men in town have not been. He's always felt kind of on the edges of their acceptance, and that feels like quite a delicate balance that he's had to try and maintain all his life. And who was the last person? Oh yeah, my old May comes from a neighbour in town to help with harvest, and I think he's there to help hay make, which is quite grueling labour, and the girl's granddad's getting a little bit too old to do all that by himself, so, and the girls are not really able to help. Some of them are quite young, so my old mate comes to help on the farm, and he kind of develops a crush on one of the sisters, so he is quite protective of them as well. So we kind of follow all these different characters. Some of them are protective of the girls, some of them I have seen more of the girls than others, and each of them we kind of get these little drips, little hints of different aspects of the girls and their life, so it's really interesting. So even before the rumours about the Mansfield girls begin, Little Nettlebed is a village steeped in the uncanny, from strange creatures that wash up on the riverbank to the portentous ravens gathering on the roofs of people about to die. But when the villagers start to hear barking, and one claims to see the Mansfield sisters transform before his very eyes, the allegations spark fascination and fear like nothing has before. The truth is that though the inhabitants of Little Nettlebed have never much liked the Mansfield girls, a little odd, some think, a little high on themselves, perhaps, they've always had plenty to say about them. As the rotating and frequently conflicting perspectives of 5 villagers quickly make clear, now is no exception. Even if local belief in witchcraft is waning, and aversion to difference is as widespread as ever, and all those narratives point to the ultimate conclusion: something isn't right in Little Nettlebed, and the sisters will be the ones to pay for it. So it was a very good read. I will say that the ending was left a little bit more open. That would have been my preference. It wasn't bad, there was lots of questions that I still had that I wanted answered, but it didn't really feel like it was done in a way that was leading on to like a second book in the series or anything. It did feel final, but with lots of things still up in the air a little bit. And it says that the jacket design of this cover was by Nicolette S. Ruggiero. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And that the artwork on the jacket itself was by Benjamin Cam Norton. So, this is the author. She looks very sweet. She looks like she could be one of the Mansfield sisters with her dark hair. That's the information there. this is a first edition 2025, so this just came out last year. There is a quote in the front, and I don't know if this is I don't know if this is something that is real that she's come across, or if she's just kind of put this in for a little bit of seasoning. But it says, last summer, a great rumour spread to us that some young girls in the Oxfordshire countryside had been seized with frequent barking in the manner of dogs. And then it's attributed to Dr. John Friend. And then it says, letter to the editor concerning a tale of rare convulsions. And that's from the Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society, and it's dated 1701. So overall, I would definitely recommend The Hounding. I don't feel like the ending was enough to put me off reading it. Because it was left open with questions, but it did still feel final. I think I would still recommend it if you like the sort of books that I've been recommending here. What was the last one? Whalefall. If you liked like Whalefall and Charlotte McConaughey's Wild Dark Shores, this is the sort of similarities between those are the kind of isolated location. Certainly with Whalefall, you've got that kind of historical element, which we have here as well. And then, of course, Whalefall and The Hounding are both set in the UK. One in Wales, one in England, so there's some similarities there. So if you like those kind of things, and you like a good little bit of mystery, without it being like, like a murder mystery type thing, like detective mystery. If you like more of like a general fiction kind of mystery, I do think you'll enjoy this book. It is very atmospheric. I could kind of see how things were going to go in Little Nailbed. I definitely got a good feel for the village, and how things were. It's very interesting. Things like the vicar was quite like highly regarded in the area, as was everybody kind of had their place. You had the people in the ale house, you had the farmers, you had the people in the ale house who are quite central to the village, of course. What is an English village without a good pub? I mean, and then the church again was quite central. Everyone goes to the church on a Sunday. And Pete, the character that we love to hate in this book, again, he was quite a central person to the running of the village, because he was ferrying people backwards and forth with their goods and things between Little Nailbed and Big Nailbed. So, and yeah, it was definitely atmospheric, and you could get a real sense of the community there. So it was a good read for sure. atmospheric location, and some mystery thrown in there as well. Excellent work. And I do absolutely adore this cover. So that is my little review of the Hounding. It was a fairly short book. Yeah, it came in at like 223 pages. So it was a fairly short book, but very enjoyable. And let me know down below if you've read The Hounding, and without dropping any spoilers for anyone, tell me what you thought of the ending. Please tell me.